I was able to get the medical establishment to agree with what I already knew inside, that I no longer had cancer. And when that happened, I knew that anything could be healed. I knew, because I had done it myself. And all the other stuff helped, but I knew that all the affirmations and all the stuff I was doing. So that gave me an extraordinarily strong belief. And when you have a strong belief, you can do anything.
I was diagnosed with a condition inside of my body where a doctor told me that something was growing, a cancerous tumor that shouldn't be there. And I trusted the medical system, because that's our culture, that's the way we're raised. And there's a part of us that says, even if I go the holistic route, I'm going to let a medical person tell me what's going on, just for that validation. So it was my opportunity to put into practice everything that I ever learned. And rather than concentrating on something that should not be in my body, I began feeling that my body was vital and healthy, rather than focusing on making something change. However, through the influence of family and friends, I underwent a medical procedure anyway. I went into the operating room, I was anesthetized, and the next thing I remember, I woke up. And there was a doctor looking at me, and he said, "What are you doing here? There's nothing there." All I'd done were the practices and the principles that I'd traveled halfway around the world to learn, and I employed it in my own life, and it worked in that moment. I have the photographs showing there's nothing in my body. I was anesthetized, and they did an exploratory for no reason at all. Because of that, I can speak with conviction. I can look anyone, a scientist, a doubting audience member, and I can look them in the eye with conviction and say, this is what I know to be true in my life, that there's a power inside of your body. The ancients say it's the most powerful force in the universe. The philosopher Neville, early in the 20th century, said that there's a power inside of every human against which no earthly force is of the slightest consequence.
I did a whole bunch of research on cancer. I wanted to know who had beaten cancer and what was the common denominator. So I did a lot of reading, and I discovered that the common denominator was everyone, no matter what treatment that they chose, they were well because they changed the way they thought.
I knew that opening myself up physically to the surgeon's knife was an adjunct to true healing, and that I needed really to open spiritually.
Your body's not your enemy, which of course I think anyone who's first experienced disease or pain, I think we're taught that, why is my body doing this to me, instead of why am I going through this experience? And it sort of let me shift my thinking to, I need to love my body through this.
I'm thankful that I actually got cancer, because I needed a big wake-up call. I was the type of person that needed almost to get hit between the eyes.
I'm in remission, and I feel wonderful, and I've never felt better about myself. I still walk around daily, and I use that affirmation that she had for cancer. It's I lovingly forgive and release everything in my past. I choose to fill my world with joy. I love and accept myself.
It was life-changing. It was one of these things where not only was I grateful for my illness, but in the end, much healthier than I had been before.
There's this interesting thing that happens when somebody gets it, really downloads a more positive way of thinking. They get hormonal balancing, for one thing. We know that when somebody is thinking with their heart, like they see a puppy or a sleeping baby, and they go, oh, your DHEA levels rise, which begins to balance your hormones, but something else really more important happens, and that is the beat-to-beat variability of the heart normalizes. And you get into this wave pattern that you can see on a heart rate monitor that actually begins to balance the entire body, given that the heart is a huge electromagnet that in fact trains the rest of the body.
It's not a thinking process. Thoughts are important. The ancients made a distinction between thoughts and feelings and emotions. And it's the feelings that are centered in our heart, that there is an effect from that it changes the electrical and the magnetic fields in our heart, and that those fields literally change the stuff that our world is made of around our bodies. And what the science now is showing is that when you can change the field, that the atom is in, you change the atom. And we're made of those atoms. So when we have feelings in our hearts, we're changing the field that connects the stuff everything is made of, and we literally are altering our physical reality in ways that sound miraculous.
So this thought or this state of deep relaxation or whatever it is that enlightens you actually results in a decrease in stress hormones, a normalization of blood sugar, decreasing of blood pressure, and a relaxation of all smooth muscles. It is, in fact, a balance of the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. Parasympathetic is the brake, and sympathetic is the gas. And most people in this culture have the gas on all the time with an occasional brake. So you're going around like this. When both are in balance, you can work so much more efficiently and so much longer because you've got this beautiful yin-yang balance.
The Sanskrit traditions have a 7 energy center or 7 chakra system that they work with. And they say the upper 3 are related to what we call thought or logic processes. So when we think about something, we picture it in our mind, that perfect relationship or peace between nations. But we can only invite it into our lives when we breathe the power of emotion into that thought. The emotion comes from the lower 3 of those creative centers in our bodies. So when we breathe the power of emotion into our thought, we imbue that thought with life. And those 2 energies meet in the one center that is not accounted for yet in our model. It's in our heart.
You look at these books by Beck, all these fathers of cognitive behavioral therapy, you open them up, and the rewiring patterns that they give